SpaceX has just announced a new Stage 0 upgrade for the Falcon 9 and the Raptor engine, which will increase the rocket's capacity and make it more versatile. Falcon 9 is expected to play a major role in the upcoming race to Mars, along with the Super Heavy and Starship. Let's take a closer look. SpaceX was founded by Elon Musk, a South African-born businessman and entrepreneur. At age 30, Musk made his initial fortune by selling his two successful companies, Zip2, which he sold for $307 million in 1999, and PayPal, which eBay purchased for $1.5 billion in 2002. Musk decided his next major venture would be a privately funded space company. Initially, Musk had the idea of sending a greenhouse, dubbed the Mars Oasis, to the Red Planet. His goal was to drum up public interest in exploration while also providing a scientific base on Mars. But the cost ended up being too high, and instead, Musk started a spaceflight company called Space Exploration Technologies Corporation, or SpaceX, now based in the Los Angeles suburb of Hawthorne, California. He spent a third of his reported fortune, $100 million, to get SpaceX going. There was skepticism that he would be successful, which persisted into SpaceX's first years. After spending 18 months toiling privately on a spacecraft, SpaceX unveiled the craft in 2006 under the name Dragon. Musk was already an experienced businessman when he started SpaceX, and he strongly believed that more frequent and reliable launches would bring down the cost of exploration. So, he sought out a stable customer that could fund the early development of a rocket: NASA. His goal for SpaceX was to develop the first privately built, liquid-fueled booster to make it into orbit, which he called the Falcon 1. The company experienced a steep learning curve on the road to orbit. It took 4 tries to get Falcon 9 flying successfully, with previous attempts derailed by problems such as fuel leaks and a rocket stage collision. But eventually, Falcon 1 made 2 successful flights, on September 28, 2008 and July 14, 2009. The 2009 launch also placed the Malaysian Razak-Sat satellite into orbit. In 2006, SpaceX received $278 million from NASA under the agency's Commercial Orbital Transportation Services Demonstration Program, which was created to spur the development of systems that could transport cargo commercially to the ISS. The addition of a few more milestones eventually boosted the total contract value to up to $396 million. SpaceX was selected for the program along with rocket plane Kistler, but RPK's contract was terminated with only partial payment after the company failed to meet the required milestones. Multiple companies participated in the COTS program in its early stages in funded or unfunded contracts. In 2008, NASA awarded 2 contracts for commercial resupply services. SpaceX received a contract for 12 flights, and Orbital Sciences Corporation received a contract for 8. The workhorse rocket of the SpaceX fleet is the Falcon 9, and one of its features is reusability. Falcon 9 has much more cargo than Falcon 1 at around 28,991 pounds to low Earth orbit, compared to Falcon 1's capacity of 1,480 pounds. The first Falcon 9 booster landing took place on December 21, 2015, and SpaceX now strives to make its boosters retrievable as a matter of course. They generally land on a robotic drone ship near the launch pad. Many of the Falcon 9 boosters have been used multiple times to reduce launching costs. A more powerful rocket, known as Falcon Heavy, made its debut on February 6, 2018, meeting almost all of its major milestones. Falcon Heavy successfully flew to orbit, carrying a Tesla Roadster and a spacesuited mannequin nicknamed Starman. SpaceX ran a live stream of the launch and the Roadster's first few hours in space, which attracted attention from all over the world. The 2 rocket boosters landed successfully near Kennedy Space Center as expected, but the core stage hit the ocean at 300 miles per hour, which was too fast, and it didn't survive the impact. Falcon Heavy then performed an engine burn in space that is expected to bring the Roadster to at least as far as Mars orbit. April 2019 saw a setback for SpaceX when a test of the Crew Dragon spacecraft, intended to bring NASA astronauts to space, experienced a malfunction while on the ground. This created a smoke plume visible for miles around Cape Canaveral, Florida. The incident set back the company's timeline for bringing people to the International Space Station. That said, the company has recovered and has been bringing people to orbit with few issues since the debut crewed mission in 2020. The next and most crucial milestone for SpaceX was space station delivery. Dragon, riding a Falcon 9 rocket, delivered its first cargo to the space station in May 2012 under a test flight for the COTS program. The launch was delayed for a few days because of an engine problem, but the rocket lifted off safely on the next try. Spaceflight observers commended SpaceX's ability to send a cargo spacecraft to the ISS. Private spaceflight hadn't even been considered when the space station was developed in the 1980s and 1990s. SpaceX fulfilled the first of its regular commercial flights to the space station in October 2012. That flight achieved most of its objectives, but it experienced a partial rocket failure during launch. The failure ended up stranding a satellite, Orbcomm OG-2, in an abnormally low orbit, which led to the mission's failure. A new version of Dragon's cargo variant began flying in December 2020 and has executed all 5 of its planned missions successfully to date. The Raptor engine forms the core of every rocket in use at SpaceX. With this in mind, the company has decided to give the engine a much-needed upgrade to improve its performance. In recent months, SpaceX has used 2 variants of the engine, with the newer one dubbed Raptor 2. The company states Raptor 2 includes a large number of performance and reliability improvements over the previous iteration. The Raptor engine is a full-flow stage combustion cycle engine that runs on super-chilled liquid oxygen and super-chilled liquid methane, both of which will power SpaceX's next-generation vehicle, Starship. The Raptor engine benefits from the highly advantageous FFSCC cycle, maximizing the impulse generated by a given amount of propellant. It is the 3rd FFSCC engine to ever be developed and the first to leave the test stand. The first stage of Starship, called Super Heavy, will be jam-packed with 33 Raptor engines. 20 non-gimbaling Raptor engines in the outermost ring, 10 gimbaling engines in the middle ring, and 3 gimbaling central engines in the innermost ring. This number is expected to decrease in the future as SpaceX further upgrades Raptor. The second stage, Starship, currently hosts 6 total engines, 3 vacuum-optimized non-gimbaling engines, and 3 sea-level gimbaling engines. Elon Musk has noted that in the future, the ship is likely to gain 3 more vacuum-optimized engines once they increase the length of the ship. Raptor is constructed from SpaceX's proprietary SX500 alloy, copper, aluminum, and steel alloys. There is no information to suggest that these have significantly changed between Raptor 1 and Raptor 2. The engine relies on a small amount of 3D printing. However, SpaceX is trying to remove as much 3D printing as possible due to the inability to scale, high cost, and low manufacturing rate. One of Raptor's most impressive specs is its gimbaling range. The engine can gimbal 15 degrees on the Y and Z axes, which is needed for the flip and burn landing that Starship does. A gimbal range of 15 degrees is a lot. For comparison, the RS-25 gimbals to 12.5 degrees, and the SpaceX Merlin engine gimbals to 5 degrees on the first stage. At the beginning of 2022, the first Raptor 2 was spotted, marking the end of Raptor 1. After Raptor 2 production began, SpaceX stopped producing all Raptor 1.5 engines. Compared to the original Raptor, Raptor 2 looks borderline incomplete. A large amount of plumbing and sensors have been removed, transitioning the engine from a Christmas tree look to a significantly cleaner look. On the original version of Raptor, while SpaceX was learning how to control the engine, a very large amount of development sensors were needed, allowing them to track pressure and temperature throughout Raptor's plumbing. By removing a large amount of these components, SpaceX has made the engine more flame and heat-proof, a clear step towards SpaceX's goal of removing all engine shrouding from the booster, which would decrease the booster's mass by 6 tons. This is a clear example of Musk's "the best part is no part" mantra. SpaceX has also announced Stage 0 upgrades to the Falcon 9. The rocket has already made history by launching and landing as the first reusable rocket, but SpaceX is always looking for ways to improve and innovate. One major focus of the upgrade is increasing the rocket's payload capacity, allowing it to transport more cargo or humans into space at a time. Another area of improvement is in the rocket's propulsion system. SpaceX is experimenting with using advanced engines and fuels, such as methane and oxygen, to increase the rocket's power and efficiency. The upgraded rocket will also feature a sleek new design with a streamlined shape and advanced heat shielding to withstand the intense temperatures of re-entry into the Earth's atmosphere. In addition to these technical improvements, SpaceX is also working on making the rocket more cost-effective to produce and operate. The company has a strong focus on sustainability and is exploring ways to reuse as many parts of the rocket as possible to reduce waste and lower costs. The upgraded rocket is expected to have a longer lifespan and be able to fly more missions before needing major maintenance or repairs. These improvements will not only benefit SpaceX, but also the wider space industry and humanity. With a more powerful and efficient rocket, SpaceX will be able to access new destinations in space, potentially opening the possibility of establishing a permanent human presence on other planets. One of the key benefits of the upgraded rocket is its increased payload capacity, which will allow it to transport more cargo or humans into space at a time. This will be particularly useful for missions to the International Space Station, where the ability to deliver more supplies or crew members in a single launch will greatly improve efficiency and reduce costs. The upgraded rocket will also have the capability to fly a wider range of missions, from satellite launches and cargo deliveries to human spaceflight and interplanetary travel. This versatility will make it a valuable asset for a variety of customers, including government agencies and private companies. In addition to its technical advancements, the upgraded rocket will also feature new safety features to ensure the safety of the crew and cargo on board. This includes upgraded systems for communication, navigation, and emergency response, as well as improved reliability and redundancy to reduce the risk of failure. If you like this video, you may also enjoy this one, which talks about a frightening discovery made at CERN. Do you think these new upgrades to the Falcon 9 are worth it? Please share your thoughts in the comments section below.